Hey everybody, this is Brian with Bear Cards 34. I'm making a video. This is a VR video response for Eric over at the Card Closet. He just celebrated 750 subscribers, and he's up above that now too, heading towards 800. He has a great channel, true collector, a lot of knowledge, some great videos. So if you haven't subscribed to him already, definitely head over there and check out his channel. Great channel. And I saw a VR of his that he had put out a little while back, but I had missed it. And this is the 750 subs video where he mentioned that Mother's Day was coming up and encouraged all of us out there to make a video about their mom and any influence they may have had in their collecting and the hobby. And I felt like I just couldn't pass that up. My mom was huge in my love of sports as well as collecting. She was a big supporter for me and encouraged me to do that kind of stuff. And I'm sure looking back on it, even in my teenage years, I'm sure she was thrilled that I was so interested in sports cards. Definitely helped to keep me out of trouble. That is for sure. So, my mom, she's from a military family. My grandpa was in the Army, and she lived all over the place. She lived everywhere from Colorado to Turkey. I have pictures of her from when she was a child riding on camels, and she just was all over the world with that. And she ended up becoming a school teacher where she taught in Salt Lake City for many, many years. And she's just a big part of my life. Love her to death. Definitely a mama's boy. And so I wanted to give her a shout out and kind of talk a little bit about her influence in my sports card collection and hobby. My name, Brian, I know I've mentioned this multiple times before, but I'm named after Brian Piccolo. And my mom, by the way, shout out to my dad's stash. He was really rocking it back then. I think that's our first official family photo. I'm the oldest of four. And so anyway, she and my dad were watching the movie Brian's Song. And here's my original Brian Piccolo rookie card with his name misspelled. They were watching Brian's Song, and my mom was pregnant with me, and after that movie, they said, let's name him Brian after Brian Piccolo. And so that's how I got my name. I like to say I was born a Chicago Bears fan. And that card right there, I mentioned it in an earlier video, but my mom went through a lot of effort to get that card for me. She knew how much that meant to me, and so it's my favorite card. And she did that with a few other cards as well. I'll show this one right here. William the Refrigerator Perry. So this is the Pro Set card that was pulled early in production. There was an issue with licensing or him and the so they had to pull that, and they switched it with another player, Ron Morris. So the William Perry was extremely rare. And I remember in the Beckett Football Card magazine, initially the price of that card was $90. That was like an impossible card back then, and I told my parents that I desperately wanted it. And of course, this is pre-eBay. You couldn't get on there and just find it. So, bless my mom. She went around to the card shops in the valley asking, trying to find anyone who might have it, and got that surprise on Christmas. Love that card. In fact, that was the same year, I believe, that this picture right here was taken of me in Little League football. I like to match the jersey number with players that I love. So one year I was 99 for Dan Hampton. And this is all in Little League when I would pick my numbers back then. 72 for the fridge. And so this is me after a game. And so again, another card that I just really loved. And one thing that was pretty cool is, along with, taking us, she would always take my brothers and I to the local card shops to pick up cards regularly. I mean, we went in there anytime we had a chance. If we had $5, we'd beg her to go, and she would take us in all the time. My first job ever was working at a sports card shop, and I was paid in football card packs, and my mom was really excited for me to be able to do that. The money was going to go towards cards anyway, and she would surprise us with these vintage cards. My brother and I, my brother, who's 2 years younger than I, we loved getting these vintage cards as well. And so Christmases and birthdays, these were just random surprises. Now this one was another random surprise, and I also got the Gale Sayers from that year from my parents. But she would find these really cool vintage cards, Johnny Unitas, Jim Brown. So there were all these really nice cards that she would know, that we really appreciated the history of the game and some of these legendary players. So while I was picking up, junk wax era cards that I still love to this day that were super overproduced, she had the wise foresight or insight to know to pick up some of these older vintage cards of players that were the legends of the game, and man, I'm sure glad she did. So that right there is some of the types of cards that I got from her when I was younger. The picture on the right, that is my parents and I at the beach in California when we lived there when I was a young child. I have no memory of living in California, but I was out there for a couple of years. So our card craze for my siblings and I started at a gas station in Salt Lake City when we picked up Garbage Pail Kid cards. We just thought those were the coolest things ever. And that was kind of the start of a card collection. And then it wasn't until I saw 1987 Topps Football for my brother that I really wanted to start collecting sports cards. And man, did I get into it at that point. My brother and I both. And my youngest brother, who passed away, he was into it too, not quite as much as us. He was a little younger, but he really appreciated the hobby as well. And so I just wanted to kind of give a shout out to my mom. She was very much a big part of all of that. And when I was a freshman in college, she was diagnosed with MS, multiple sclerosis, and very scary to hear about that. It was a really hard thing to hear, and she's still around. She's going strong. The first 10 years after the diagnosis, we didn't really see much difference. But since then, it's taken its toll. She's getting a little older and not as mobile as she was, but she never complains. I've never heard her complain. I've never heard her get upset about it. She's just such a strong person, someone I admire so much, and just a great example for me and my siblings. And, she takes it all in stride. She's a great grandmother. My daughters just adore her. And, so I just wanted to kind of give a shout out, and I appreciate Eric for mentioning this VR. I think this is a really cool one for Mother's Day. Just love my mom to death, and very happy that I got so lucky to have her in my life. So that's it for this video. I will mention, just for everybody out there, this is a great time to celebrate the women in our lives, whether that's a mother. I know some of us, our moms aren't around anymore, unfortunately. Some of us maybe didn't have a mother, but there are a lot of wonderful women out there, whether that is, a grandmother, an aunt, caregivers, sisters, all those things. Great women out there, and hopefully you have someone like that in your life, or have those those really nice memories of the times you had with your mom. And I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you, as always, for checking out my video. I always appreciate that. And I'll be back with more videos in the near future. And as always, go Bears.